Welcome back here to Live and Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. We turn our next story to a story that could have ramifications around the country as the Supreme Court is weighing a decision on homelessness, the first significant in decades there, and specifically about considering if cities and states can ban people from sleeping in public spaces. We're going to be joined right now by Fox News correspondent David Spunt with the latest. David, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And what sort of arguments were made today, and do we have any indication which way the justices lean?
Well, you know, it's going to be a big decision for these justices to make. Cities large and small are weighing this issue of homelessness. Some say it's really an epidemic across this country. And while this comes from a case out of Grants Pass, Oregon, a city with about 39,000 people, the implications could affect people in cities large and small, depending on what the justices decide. Now, there was a protest outside the Supreme Court earlier today here in Washington, with groups calling attention to what they say is a persistent housing crisis that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, one they say has not been addressed over the past decades. The justices heard arguments over just how far municipalities can go to block homeless encampments.
We should be investing more in affordable housing than we are investing in a world and tax cuts for the greedy. Instead of trying to push poor people to the next town, we need to demand living wages in every town, in every city, in every county. Instead of lying about poor people.
Now, a federal appeals court recently ruled that an anti-camping ordinance aimed at blocking homeless camps in the small town of Grants Pass, Oregon, that I mentioned, violated the constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment, as the homeless did not have access to shelter elsewhere.
The Ninth Circuit held that cities are not allowed to regulate camping in their jurisdictions until they have enough shelter for everyone. That has made it impossible for cities to address very unsafe and unhealthy conditions.
Meanwhile, in San Francisco, city officials said in a court brief that it spent more than $672 million to provide shelter to the homeless, and its inability to enforce its own laws has made it more difficult to provide to people. It's really a common tale, Andy, across the United States, an unfortunate tale. The justices are expected to make a decision by the end of June, and this will certainly give a roadmap to other cities to really follow, dealing with what, as I said, many see as a crisis that continues to grow.
Yeah,
Andy?
It continues to grow. And it's very interesting. They use the Eighth Amendment there, cruel and unusual punishment. Have we heard from any lawmakers, any officials in cities where homelessness is so rampant and people constantly are sometimes sleeping on the streets?
You know, that's right. Many lawmakers are weighing in, specifically lawmakers in Capitol Hill. Congresswoman on Capitol Hill, I should say, Congresswoman Maxine Waters from California, a state that sees homelessness grow at a daily rate, was out there calling for more housing, calling for more affordable housing. So those are the kinds of things that we're seeing. I think the majority, though, of them, Andy, are waiting to see what the Supreme Court does, because after all, while this is about Grants Pass, Oregon, it's about New York City, it's about Houston, it's about Milwaukee, and it's about San Francisco.
Yeah, so many places are dealing with these shelter issues and also homelessness issues. All right, David Spunt, thank you so much for your great reporting. We'll keep an eye on this story as it moves through the Supreme Court. Appreciate it.